Welcome to Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon, your bi weekly deep dive into security insights, strategies, and innovations in the security industry. I'm your host, Arvind Dhillon, and today we're going to discuss the differences between residential customers versus commercial customers. We will go deep dive into how to approach the client, the different needs of the resi versus commercial clients, and maintaining our ongoing relationship with the clients. So, whether you're a security business professional, business owner, or someone just interested in security, this episode for you. Let's get started. So, today I got my producer here all mic'd up. She will be asking me questions, and I will try to answer those on the spot. When we started this security company 17 years ago, mostly we were dealing with the residential customers. Um, Now, since we moved on, we are dealing with residential and commercial. And we have come to realize that residential customers buying the life cycle, the sales cycle is way different than the commercial clients. In a residential, you will have a more of a emotional buy-in, family safety, those are the priorities, and cost effectiveness. But whereas in commercial security, we might have customers where they have to deal with the compliance, they're dealing with 20 different people, uh, property managers, project managers, different timelines, different life cycle, and different priorities. So in this episode, we are going to deep dive into learning about all the different life cycles and the challenges we have dealing with residential customers versus commercial customers, and it will be all around security needs.
Hey everyone, this is Tuche. I actually want to start by saying something to Arvind that previously to chat. It's actually been more than 18 years as I was just talking to his partner today recently. Yeah, the time is passing fast, I guess. Don't you
Oh,
think?
wow. I am still stuck in 2024. I guess 2025 has been busy.
Well, possible. And 2025 been quite fast, I feel like.
Yeah, it is
Okay, let's get
indeed.
started, huh?
Yes.
So let's start with dealing with the client. In the case of the residential market, your client would likely be a custom home builder. What is the communication style a custom home builder would prefer?
In a residential, it's mostly a custom home builder, landlord, tenant, or a homeowner. The All these, they want a quick response and easier way. They don't want to be writing the emails. The best way I find with the dealing with the builder is either calling them directly or via text message or a WhatsApp message nowadays, because they feel more personable. That is maybe the case, and it's just easier because a lot of the builders are one man show, so they're on the road a lot. They're not checking their email, vice versa. So it's easier to get hold of them if you give them a text message or call them directly.
Yeah, that's actually a touch point, something that I will next ask. We can continue from there. That is great. So, what would you say that there are pain points and what would they expect of you?
Um, it's a different if you're a homeowner or a tenant or a landlord. It's versus just a home builder. If you're a home builder, your pain points are scheduling the trades. You don't want to miss a week of if you didn't have schedule someone in, and you will miss a week, and every week costs you a lot of money. Whereas if the homeowner calls us directly, they it's usually the house is already built and they moved into a new place, then it's usually within a week that they want their job done. There's been times when we've been so busy and we will give them a 2 weeks out notice to make a schedule, and most of the customers don't like that. So this is our been our to go sort of guarantee that if we visited your site and if we have all the parts ready, we will most likely finish the job in 1 week.
So, what is expected of you as a business owner of the security business and your employees? In, let's say, you have this smart home project going on and you are involved with the business, the home builder, or it's himself and the owner of the home.
Mm. So you mean a homeowner and the home builder together
Yes, both in
building a
contact of the project
yeah.
and what is expecting in that scenario that the job is already estimated, accepted, and the project started. So what is expected from you as a business owner, your involvement, and from the employees, or when this step?
Okay. So in this case, it's a lot of involvement in the background, not upfront. So we have a full office setup where um, the office staff can do order the parts, they can schedule the job, they can pull the permit, they can book the inspection. But when it comes to the home builder or homeowner, sometimes they just feel comfortable talking to me or talking to their sales rep, whoever quoted them a job or whoever designed the job. Because there's always questions that come up at the last minute. And that's why we have a so usually in our case, it's Jazz that deals with the customers directly. So people can call him in the evening or send him a text message, and then he's very good at replying at all times, right? Sometimes, yes, he has to get information from the office because he was not directly involved in ordering the parts, so he doesn't know when their parts are arriving. But it's just homeowners and home builders, they feel much comfortable rather than talking to the office. They rather call Jazz directly or text him to get the answers ASAP. So it's all about relationship, and it's a peace of mind.
So, yes, you allow them and get involved with this personal relationship, but also do you have any kind of a red line that you navigate these people, the home builder or the homeowner, let's say mostly homeowner, I feel like this is a red line, like you're like, no, talk to the office. No, don't call me for this. It came to that point ever?
Um, we never really say that. We don't. We want to give the extra service to our clients because once someone signs up with us, we take care of the project, and we are very lucky to have a big enough team, big enough field staff, and big enough office staff that we can actually manage that. Sometimes, yes, we call Jazz, but Jazz didn't answer the phone, but the office will be calling you because Jazz is in sync with the office. That's how our company is set up.
Okay, so next question is a bit more detailed, let's say maybe a bit hard even. And we know that you didn't know this question, so we're just gonna shoot it. Were there any times when a residential client came into conflict with one of your employees? Can be office and or can be a technician on the site and installing. They had a conflict, they had an issue.
That's a tough question to answer. Um, One time I remember that when we first started out the office part of it, before we were running we started a security company, we didn't have a office set up at that time. So when we first brought our first employee, his name is Blake Cole, and I hope he's listening to this podcast because we are still friends. So he's moved on. He's living on Sunshine Coast. Uh, uh, so we were trying to do more things from him, saying instead of homeowners calling me directly, they can call Blake at the office, or if parts need to be ordered or they want to change the work order, then we can try to go through Blake. But we were never successful because that's when we had the conflict. Now there's a third dimension to this project. Um, People will always say, "Oh, I said this." Blake will say he or she said that. So we were never successful in that. That's why we since then we learned our lesson and we kept it direct communication, so to reduce those conflicts.
But what happened when that customer say he said that, she said that part of it? When that happened, how did you resolve that?
Usually, it's always minor, like a scheduling. You promised me you will come on Wednesday, but now you're not. It's Thursday today. Nobody's here on our site, so it's never been really that big of a deal. But I understand from a customer point of view, if there's someone promised them Wednesday, they should be there on Wednesday, or they should have communicated that they're not coming, right? So to us, that was the challenge that we had early on. But since now in 2025, we have a lot of technology that it can kind of remind us as well about the jobs that, these are jobs in the line, these are the jobs in the queue, or this is what we talked about. And so now it's a lot more automated per se.
Yeah, so everything is in the CRM platform, everything is automated and setting. Nothing can go in a way that he said, she said
He's
point. Everything is written there.
Yeah, there's still times, I'm sure, these things happen, the conflict happens, but we try to limit it with the technology and having the big office staff.
Yeah, understood for sure. Since we're in this conflict part, let's continue by asking what kinds of conflict could arise working with a custom home builder? Do you have any examples rather than just we got this scheduling issue?
Custom home builder, we try not to have any issues because they're giving us the job. But I'm sure there's issues that I need to think about. Mostly that I can think instead of the builder, it's mostly the electricians because uh,
Other contractor.
other contractors, because the electrician has to be finished in order for us to start or finish our job. Without the electrician, we just can't simply start the job. So sometimes, if the electrician is running late or they're running behind on their job, and we had a job scheduled, now we have a conflict where our technicians can't go to the site, but the homeowner or the home builder is expecting us there on that day, right? So that's why it's actually very important for us to have a good working relationship with the electrician that's going to be performing at that house.
So the scheduling and the other contractor mainly is the other electrician contractor doing the
Yes,
job and sync the both contractors together as in time manually.
100%.
All right, let's flip the situation to focus on commercial clients. What is the communication style a business owner, for example, would prefer?
B2B, mostly customers like to communicate through email. Um, yes, a little bit phone calls are involved, but mostly everything is detailed into the email because the project managers are involved, and then sometimes property managers are also involved, and architects are also involved. So then it's a chain of emails from our office or our different departments in our office will also be all be CC on it, and then we have to keep that information flowing throughout. That's why not only us but also the customers, they also prefer that as well.
So never WhatsApp, never text message?
No WhatsApp at all whatsoever. Text message maybe just to the site supervisor, maybe, but even then, they would prefer to have it through the email because you can have 8, 9 people that are involved. You can have all of them giving all the information simultaneously, right? So if you do by WhatsApp or text message, then it's a one-to-one communication. With the site supervisor, usually it's always about where's the best place to park, or what's where the key is, or how early we can start, or how late we can work. Usually, that's more one-on-one relationship with that.
Okay, again, we are kind of touching that pain point. So let's go to that question. So, what are their pain points and how does it compare to with a residential client and how you approach to a commercial client?
Commercial, depending upon if it's a small commercial, then uh, they would like to get done quicker. It's a lot smaller window of opportunity that we have. It's usually they got broken into last night. They want to install alarm. They want to install a couple of cameras, and off they go. So that's it's a short window that we have to deal with in a small business. But where we're talking warehouses where it's 14 15,000 square foot, then a lot more people are involved. It takes a lot longer. A couple of RFPs that we are bidding on recently, these are the government tenders. They go, sometimes the tender stage is almost 2 years because a lot more decisions have to be made, a lot more stakeholders are there. It's a private public partnership, so it takes a lot longer in that sense.
Got it. And that situation, does that happen with a homeowner or home builder? Like that break in, they say there was a break in last night and they want to suddenly install the security system in the home.
So usually there's a stages into a building cycle. So as the house is coming to finish, usually when the appliances are getting delivered, people will like to put the cameras in or have the alarm installed just on the doors, so at least they have some sort of a protection. In last year or so now, a lot more customers are actually putting 24/7 monitoring on there as well, so the home builders know when someone's attending to their site, and it's extra set of eyes that we can provide that service.
But mainly those services are for commercial is just from the beginning. That's must to have. But for homeowners, home builders is maybe later can be added situation.
100%. Some builders, if they're building a townhouse complex or fourplexes, multiplexes, they are starting to get cameras installed upfront now as well, because it's a lot more, it's a bigger investments now. Um, so customers are more, they're taking their security a little bit more seriously nowadays, and the security rate, theft rate has also increased as well. Like in our Burnaby, I see there's a lot of multiplexes happening. A lot more people are being involved in there, and they people want to know what's happening at their site.
Mhm. Let's also touch base a little bit the insurance part of the VIF because there is a big impact, right? The commercial when it's come to that, if they don't do ahead, because that's a must to them, the security system, because in the insurance, that is a big part. If something happens, that's the whole business in risk.
Yes. So in multiplexes or townhouses, it's definitely a big concern. Insurance providers are actually requiring that you have either a security guard on site after hours, from dawn to dusk, or you set up these monitoring cameras 24/7. So that is the compliance thing that's coming into effect lately in our local British Columbia, Langley, BC. Every year we get a one townhouse complex or a apartment building that catches on a fire. So it's very, very unfortunate, and then insurance companies are getting a little bit stricter on those rules. Where in a commercial sites, it's kind of given because there's so many people are involved. It's a given they right off the bat they will have a 24/7 monitoring nowadays.
But so right now, this was something that they are considering, but right now the insurance companies are actually putting as a requirement for both commercial and residential.
Residential meaning a little bit bigger projects. For a single family house, they probably don't require that. But as soon as you start building a multiplex where 4 unit or 8 units you're building, then the insurance providers will start to require that pretty soon if they're already not requiring that.
Oh, that is great to know. So everyone out there should be prepared.
Yes.
So let's go to the other touch point that we previously did with the residential. What kinds of conflict could arise working with a commercial business, and how would you handle it?
Um, Commercial usually there Commercial units, they usually have a lot of set timelines that everybody has to follow. And the trades that work in the commercial, they are aware of that, so that there's a lot less chances of creating a conflict. I'm sure there's um, recently we did a one clothing store where they were set to open within a 1 week's time, and because, as you know, the security products get installed at almost at the last minute. So they brought in all their furniture already in place, and we still supposed to install by certain date. So then we had to get some of their furniture moved. So there was a issue that we could have had a conflict with them, but the site super was so good. We communicated, our office communicated with the site super directly, and the project manager, that we had to make these required changes. So we manage that risk, but there is always some sort of a conflict that we can have, because we are one of the last person to on the site, that all the furniture's there, cleaners are there, they're trying to wrap up the project, but we are only getting started.
So, would you recommend to these business owners to plan ahead the security systems to install ahead when they actually start planning this new business location?
Yes, definitely. Sometimes it's doable, sometimes it's not. Usually, the wiring, we do it ahead of time, and all of our stuff is delicate as well. Like, we don't want to install cameras while there's dust all around it, or our keypads, otherwise, they will get a dust on it, right? Yes, we can wrap them up in a plastic and try to cover them up. We do that, but because dust gets everywhere. There's so many trades are involved. We like to stay almost to the end, keep it to the end. But sometimes when the project gets into the later stages, there a lot of other trades are involved during that day, because the completion line is coming to an end. Then sometimes there's challenges.
So, when it's a delay happen in this last minute install, how do you talk to the business owner? How do you explain the situation due to an uncontrolled delay?
Yeah, usually, luckily, in a commercial business, we don't have to talk to directly to the customer. We will talk directly to the project manager or a site supervisor. They will have to deal with the customer, because a lot of the time it will be a chain that's their office is back east, so that is their customer. We get hired by the commercial company that's doing the renovation or doing the addition at the commercial space.
So there's a more larger scale of the commercial, so that's more understandable. People are already in this business, understand this kind of place, how it's happening. You don't necessarily need to explain.
Explain, yes, because they are usually the site supers or project manager. They are from the trade industry, so they kind of understand that these kind of issues or challenges, um, or sometimes they just have that much experience that they can deal with it swiftly.
Have you had a small business owner in this challenge and they are not aware of the systems, trades, and challenges, and they are hands on? They're dealing with everything, and even the contractors, they don't want to pay architects or other these interiors people, and they're dealing with one on one everything. And did you had this kind of issues that they try to call you, complain you directly?
Usually small commercial, because our job scope is less. So delays are very, very, very rare. But occasionally, if the parts are on a back order, then it does affect the small business owner. I recall recently we did a job where it was a Sonos music system we installed along with the cameras and alarm system. We were able to finish the alarm system and the cameras, but we couldn't finish the sound system for them. When their grand opening was uh, approaching, so we literally had to send our technicians in the evening on a weekend and try to finish that before their grand opening. That was just a product delay. Sometimes our hands are tight. We couldn't get that on time, right? Even though we have a huge warehouse, we try to stock every possible little component, but there is always times when these things will happen, right?
Oh, that's great. So you did go a little bit extra again in the customer service to accommodate that delay and still made it on time.
Yes, 100%. You always have to keep in mind that customer service has to be top notch. Um, doesn't matter if it's a residential customer or a commercial customer. Yes, there's a different approaches to it, but the core of it is customer business.
Yeah, for both one common area, we could say the customer service then. Yeah.
100%.
Okay, now that we established how to deal with the client, let's talk about what they actually need from you. Let's return to the custom home builder. What are the needs in terms of technology and services? And what would you recommend to a custom home builder for providing security for the job site?
For the home builders, we're not only providing just the security aspect of it, we're also providing a low voltage services to them. So it's a customized package that we create for the home builders. That will include or might include a home automation system, which it can control your lighting system, your music system, your security system, your camera surveillance, your entrance door, your outside gates, your garage door, your thermostats, your AC, and it will include all those services. Um, there is obviously different levels of services for each home builder, but we provide all those services.
There is also interior design aspect of it, right? Because if you are setting up all the systems and there are like plugs, other system installed and it's visible and they care how does it look and if it fits to their home projects.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot more customization that goes into custom homes that are being built nowadays. So we might have customers where all their lighting plugs are going to be black, so we have to match it to that, and all our plates and cover plates and all our keypads, they all have to be in black, and that's quite common now. So in that case, we will work with the design team that they choose, and the designer will give us all the specs, and then we will our office sales engineer will work on all that stuff.
And so you have the suppliers in hand that customize all the products already pre-made.
Yes. So the suppliers are already there existing, but our sales engineer team, they have to design the system. Not It's not cookie cutter systems that we install from one house to the other. Every house is a little bit different. Every customer has a little bit different requirement. Every builder has a different requirement. So we have to take all those things into consideration. And when we add another layer of architects or designers into the picture, then it makes our job a little bit difficult and easier at the same time. Difficult in a sense that now we have to source out some parts that are not readily available. So we might have to wait 3 months or 6 months for the parts. But how it makes it easier is that now we know what we have to install. If the black color is specced out throughout the house, then black it is. Then we don't want to be changing that, and it makes our sales engineers to design the system much easier.
Mhm. So, what about the technology point? So, what would you recommend in terms of technology for the home itself?
Technology wise, so different customers, different needs. There we get a calls from homeowners where all they want to know is when their kids are getting home at 3 o'clock or 3:30. When their kids get home, they want to be able to see it on their phone that the message comes in and it says, or they see a picture that their kids are home. That's what they require. So in that sense, it's a basic ring camera we install at the front door, and off they go, right? Then in bigger houses, sometimes the customers, they might require us to do lighting control. They want to be able to sync all their music system or the camera surveillance system or their thermostats all into one app, so they can control this anywhere in the world. We have a customer in Whistler, so when they leave their house in Vancouver, usually on the weekend they go to Whistler. They will when they leave it, they want to be able to turn on their hot tub. So we put a system in place for them that they are able to do that. The other common one that we see is a lot of the times outside lights and inside lights when people are on vacation. They want to be able to schedule it that the random inside lights will turn on while they're on vacation, and outside lights will turn on and off automatically.
So this automation, app control, and video surveillance is quite the big points, you would say, in the residential right now you're feeling.
100%. That's where the trend is going.
Mhm. Actually, it matches with the data that we had here as a note. So in this stage, that video surveillance system accounted for a massive 42% increase of the residential security market in 2022 to a sum of worth not like 19 billion US dollars.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is becoming not just popular, but it's just like a requirement part of the residential projects now, I guess.
Yes, so we are definitely seeing the increase in the not just the automation system, but also in the security system. The new system that we started installing is 24/7 monitoring of the camera surveillance system. So what we do is we go install the system, um, and it doesn't matter. You can have the old cameras in place. We just install our system into it. Then it communicates with our 24/7 monitoring station locally here in Vancouver, BC. What that does is we hook it up to your alarm system. So when at nighttime you turn on your alarm system, if the camera sees any activity in your front yard, backyard, or wherever the camera is pointing at, then we get alert at our office, which is open 24/7, and then our team can respond to that. And that is the new system. And I see uh, lot more requirement in a residential starting soon.
Yeah, that's actually makes sense in the other research data that I was going to point out. So, the grant we've researched additionally concluded that demand for managed security services will increase 10.6% from 2025 to 2030, believing that residential properties are prioritizing visible deterrence, rapid response, and expert monitoring, which you just actually say the same thing almost here. I also want to touch to a point when it's come to residential security, which is the this homeowners DIYs. There's actually a stat here that we wanted to point it out, and I want to hear your comments on that. So, market research feature also noted that its research pointed to residential customers preferring professional installation and operation as opposed to DIY installations. Now, a lot more.
I think DIY devices are a great starting point where uh, people will get used to this, where they haven't actually seen the theft. They're just trying to do this as a proactive approach. In that sense, yes, they can go, uh, order from Amazon or any of the online retailers. They can go buy the basic systems, but it's not a foolproof. It's not professionally installed. Yes, it will work for the time being, but if there's actual theft or you're actually worried about your security, then it doesn't help. Then you have to hire a professional at that time.
Have you had any client that came to due to this issue? They had a DIY in their home and things get wrong or didn't work or they didn't feel that is enough or whatever the reason that came to now to security professional installation or professional look in that security system.
Yes, definitely. In recent times, I've seen there's been a surge of DYIs in early 2023, 2024. But all those people are now looking at the professional systems because now they they have become used to the security part. When people get used to the be when they go on a vacation, these lights turning on and off, but they do it themselves. That's great, it works, but there's no no confirmation. So you only get confirmation when you have professionally installed systems, or if there's any issue, service call that comes into the effect. Because technology, there's always a new software update, new hardware update. So it's harder for just DIY to keep up to date with that market.
Did you had any customers? I want to touch here to past time, specifically the 2020, 2022 period of COVID time. I feel like I think it was more DIY because of this home staying people, the home security part, they were setting up themselves and all. Have you had those clients that came afterwards, or what do you think about that period? Because they didn't want, I'm sure, any professional install going on. How that worked that time?
One client in specific that I can think of, I won't name any names, but what they end up doing was they installed their TV themselves, and they bought a nice expensive TV. They installed it themselves. They bought the uh, doorbell camera that they wanted to know when their kids are getting home or who's coming to their door. They don't want to open the door to the strangers. But what happened was the TV wasn't installed properly or anchored properly, so it actually fall down and break the TV in half. So that was pretty expensive lessons that they learned. Since then, because we already actually had a relationship with them, we installed the alarm system for them prior to COVID-19. So that we already had that relationship, but they were just trying to save some money. So that client comes to my mind. Then after that, I believe in 2021, we installed a surveillance system, intercom system for them, and now we are also providing 24/7 monitoring for them because they want to be. They had an issue where when their car is parked in the driveway, someone will come and check out, see if there's any change, or their neighborhood was getting broken into. So they end up going with this service.
Yeah, so it's but that is a good story actually. But also about specific the COVID time, how do you feel about it? Because we talk about the data nowadays, people are a lot more into going to a professional security system installation, going with professional companies more than DIYs. But I think the COVID time was specifically DIYs was a lot more. Did you feel that, or did you had the same interest in the professional installation that time?
I think we actually had a lot more professional systems installed at that time as well because a lot more people were staying at home and they were actually worried about who's coming to their door,
Mm-hmm.
or they want to be able to sleep at night turning on their alarm, um, or more sound systems. I think we sold the most sold sound systems in our
Oh.
entire history.
So that time
And
entertainment at
enter-
home was more
entertainment at
because
home
yeah.
was more. As far as the DIY, I'm sure there was a lot of customers that were trying to set up all these equipment themselves, but eventually, in a couple of years' time, they're more proactive. They had a theft where they can't get the footage or they had no idea what's happening. So then they look at to the professional company.
Yeah, in the end it comes to always a point that gets stuck, I guess.
So it's kind of good for the security industry at the same time because now you have influx of these customers where uh, they started doing it themselves. Now they're coming back relying on the professionals.
One more question about the residential part that you mentioned about how much access we have to this data. How about the privacy concerns?
Yes, definitely. Privacy is a very big important part in a residential market. Um, there's in British Columbia, there's a strict rules by government, and within our organization, we also have a strict rules and regulations that we follow. That's why we launch this privacy system that, um, even though we call it a 24/7 live video monitoring for residential, but it only works when the customer actually want us to see it, want us to monitor their house. So till they actually go to the keypad, turn on the alarm, we don't have access to their house. or our system does not bring up that footage for our operators to see. The other thing that we also have is, so if a lot of our customers have pools in the backyard, they don't necessarily want us to be monitoring their pool for privacy reasons. We can also block it out on our end, so our operators never see the pool portion of it. Um, so basically, that's why this system exists now. With the taking a privacy concern into a serious consideration, this system that we started to install recently is very helpful in that.
So we can, as a security business, you can only see when the alarm is turned on, and once it's agreed that you're monitoring their homes for
Yes.
24/7, they are giving you specific parts that you're blocking from your end, that you're making sure that this won't be visible. But what happens if something happens in those areas? Like, is there any specific alarm that gets in?
So usually when even when it's blocked, that meaning it's blocked during the time it's not on. When you turn it on, then everything is visible because we want to be able to protect that, right?
So when they need to turn on the alarm, and in that scenario,
Yeah.
there is no blockage.
Then there's no more blockage. That is just during the daytime. Customers, some of our customers are uncomfortable. They are thinking that our operators are watching them 24/7, but that is not the case in this for residential market.
Let's continue from the concerns then here. In comparison to residential security, what are the main security concerns for business owners, let's say?
Business owners have quite a few concerns. One is shoplifting, that's a big one, or someone breaking into the store. That's the other big one. So, and also access into the building. A lot of our customers that have 200, 300 doors, they want to be able to control who gets access at what time. So we install access control for them along with the camera surveillance system. So they can see, they can verify that it is the right person coming at a certain time. And our controls are getting, as the technology is evolving, our systems are just getting that much better. Now we can have a face recognition system or a handprint systems where people have to they have to have the facial recognition and along with their handprint in order to access some of these office buildings.
So I was gonna move forward with technology anyway. So what would your recommendations for a business owner to must have technologies for security purposes to install to their place? Let's say retail, maybe specifically.
In a small commercial retail like any stores in the mall, they definitely need a alarm system, motion sensors, and a glass break system, along with the camera surveillance. The camera surveillance is a little bit hard for them because sometimes they put a stuff in front of it, or they cover it with the drapes, so it makes it a little bit challenging. But that's when we sign them up uh, on a yearly maintenance contract. So then we can actually educate our clients, or we or our technicians visit their site every year.
Okay, I'm gonna change the subject here a little bit, moving from the home builder, homeowner, and residential, the commercial, sorry, uh, business owners, to an operational approach. So, what would you say? What are the major contractual differences between residential and commercial?
In operation side, it's in a residential, it's a lot quicker cycle. It's a lot more personal approach, I would say. Uh, and a lot of our jobs that we do is also a referral based jobs. Um, and then on the commercial side, it's a lot of bidding, tendering that we have to go, and sometimes we get contracts through third parties. So it's a total different approach. That's why within our organization we have two sets of teams that are work from the office. One is the residential side, and the other one is the commercial side. Residential side, you will have a scheduling coordinator, the parts order person, um, and then Jazz would be handling that, more of the personal touch points to that. Then whereas on the commercial side we have a sales engineer team, there's a design team, there's a again a commercial coordinator that handles day to day, and then there on top of that the bigger projects also get a project manager assigned. So our project manager at any given time, they can only handle 4 to 5 projects, big projects that last about 6 months to 2 years time. So on those, so that's how in our covert securities, in our operational approach, that's how we can give the best service possible to each different clientels we have.
So it's quite different than each other. The contracts and even the teams are dealing with this is very different and having different skills for
A hundred
each.
percent. It's not only the just the office, also the technicians. The commercial technicians are trained different than the residential technicians. So it's quite a bit of a difference, and the different. Um, Even though the technology is the same, but just the mindset of the technicians, how we deal with the client, how do we approach the client, it's a total different life cycle.
In terms of ongoing service, how different after a project completed, one commercial, one residential? What is the ongoing service for them?
So on a commercial, we usually have SLAs in place. That means every year we'd go do a maintenance on the equipment, just to make sure that everything's performing at its best. If anything needs to be replaced, we replace it in a timely fashion. So that's kind of an approach that it's uh, you don't want to know that something's breaking down at the last minute, because it will cause the business challenges. It will cost the it's a lot more things are involved. Where in residential, if we are not monitoring your place for alarm system or for camera surveillance, usually we don't go back unless the customer calls us for a service call. So that's a big difference in that place.
Mhm. So what happens? Let's say in that house we built everything is quite until they call, there's no problem. But what happens once the home has been sold?
So usually when the home is sold, that's when we touch base with the new homeowner, give them all our information, that who we are, what kind of equipment we installed at their system, and we always try to sign them up for our maintenance contract. In that way, they know they have a fully peace of mind that our office is open 24/7. Sometimes they just need basic help that we can help them out with.
Do you have any issues of any examples that conflict arising with the new homeowner?
New homeowner, it's not so much of an issue. I think it's more they need to get comfortable using the technology. So usually when you move into a new place, you don't know how to control the lights, you don't know how to control your thermostats. Everything is technology advanced. Their app isn't downloaded on their phone, or um, kids don't have the app, but the parents have it. So there's a lot of back and forth, and when they first move into the house. But usually we can now, with our experience, we have set standards that we set, that when our technicians going through it, it follows a checklist. Then hopefully that gives them a little bit more peace of mind.
So what happens if that new homeowner wants to change the security company to the previous when they had it, if there is the case ever happen?
Yes, definitely they can. They are fully able to do that. The only difference would be that um, the new security company won't necessarily have all the ins and outs of the experience of the house. That's when our company wins over the competitors, because we don't only install the alarm system, we also install the camera surveillance, lighting control, music system. So we are your one touch point that if you ever need a service or if you ever have a question about your low voltage system, we are your to go guys. So whereas the competitors, they might only do just the security portion, but they don't do all the other items, right?
Oh, that is true. So changing the security company won't allow them to fix all the other issues if there's ever happen, and they will be kind of in lost in that point, and they will have to come back anyways, or they will need to start getting new contractors to fix all that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Message to my fellow colleagues and business partners in the security industry that um, there's no one size fit all approach we have to take. Residential, we have to treat them differently. They want the speed, affordability, where in commercial clients, they want scalable systems. They want to be in compliance. Then we have to keep up with the new trends, DYIs. We have to keep an eye on those new trends that are coming up in the market. Uh, take the monitoring side of the business very seriously, because I feel that is the future of the business, especially with the SLA contracts in the commercial side of the business. Then build a relationship with the people. At the end of the day, it's not just a one-time sale. Think about long-term building relationship. It's the very, very important key. We wouldn't, I don't think, make it to 18 years, as Tuche said, that uh, if we didn't have a good relationship with our builders or commercial clients. So that's a wrap for today's episode, Security Insights with Arvind Dhillon. I hope you found some value in this episode. And if you did, please like, subscribe, and share with your network. We would appreciate it very much, and look forward to the next episode. And if you want to connect with me, please connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Arvind Dhillon. Until next time, stay secure and keep your business growing. See you in the next episode.